So, folks, we are joined by John Novello. He is a Grammy Award jazz pianist and elite mentor whose unique self program can help anyone achieve a perfect life by harnessing the power within. And as we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, the invisible architect, how to design your perfect life from within, here's an exciting twist. Let us tickle our guest's brain. So, John, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get started.
Let's do it.
All right, thank you. So here comes the first word, curiosity.
Kill the cat.
Invention.
Creativity.
Future.
We create our own futures.
Aliens.
Well, we're all aliens.
That's a different perspective. And movie.
Shawshank Redemption, my favorite movie.
Yeah, I'm yet to watch that. And next comes life.
Life is spiritual in nature.
Music.
Love it.
Universe.
We all create our own universes.
Leadership.
Well, we are all leaders.
Role model.
Very important.
And the last one is success.
Something I specialize in.
Wow. So this rapid fire round is full of wisdom, and thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round, and we really appreciate it. And there is one more rapid fire round towards the end of the episode, so stay tuned. And John, before I formally welcome you to the show, let me welcome the audience. So folks, you have tuned into TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast series where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. I'm your host Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place through valuable discussions that add value not only to your life but also to your career. And thank you so much for tuning in. And John, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to be on your show.
Same here. I've been waiting for this conversation to happen, and finally we are here. And thank you so much once again for being part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And John, let's get the ball rolling. We'll begin with your success mantra. So please share with us the top three things that have contributed to your success so far.
Well, being connected to the creator of all, which I call the invisible architect. That's my name for the creator because I didn't want it to be associated with any particular organized philosophy or religion. Our true power comes from the creator. And two, being the knowing and understanding that we are the distributor of that power rather than the power itself. And number three, understanding that we are fully responsible and have free will to create anything we want. So we have to learn how to control our thoughts and beliefs.
Wow. So profound, John. And let's move to my next question. Let's start with your musician journey. Like, how did you get started as a musician?
Well, I grew up in a small city in the United States called Erie, Pennsylvania. And on TV, I saw a keyboard player and I saw the keyboard. And for some reason, the keyboard did a deja vu for me. I'm not sure if it was a past life or a desire implanted by the creator. And I pointed to the TV and my mom and dad said, he must want to play. And so a few years later, I started playing the accordion because I grew up in an Italian Catholic family. And then I graduated to the piano and organ. And I just fell in love with the whole idea of being able to take these 12 notes of music and organize them in a way that seemed to inspire and seemed to entertain others. And when I did my first concert for the family, I enjoyed it so much. But then at the end, they actually paid me money. And I went, whoa, I get money for entertaining and inspiring people and doing something I like. So that's how the whole thing got started. And then from then on in, I developed a relationship with the invisible architect. At that point in my young age, it was more of a voice that I heard inside my head. And I started following it and becoming acquainted with it. And little did I know, 60, 70 years later, I would be writing a book about how I interacted with the invisible architect. So that's my way of paying it forward.
And I really love the phrase invisible architect, and we are going to double click about that in a while. But please tell us biggest letdown in your music career, but how that letdown led to your eventual success in terms of your new book, the invisible architect?
Well, I was already successful before I wrote the book, of course, and
Oh,
that was the whole idea of writing the book. Is one day I woke up about 4 years ago, and my conversation with my inner voice, the power within, is as clear as you and I talking, and it's been that way. I've been blessed in that area, and it communicated to me one day and says, "You need," because I'm already an author of many music books. It said, "You need to write a book about our relationship." And I went, "What?" Because I'm a jazz musician, I'm not a philosopher. And that's what I told the architect. I said, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, we've been interacting together for years, and you need to pay it forward and spread the word on how you've used our relationship and the power to create a better life and be successful." And I kind of was like, well, gee, that would impetus to write it. And I started writing. I didn't even have the name Visible Architect at all. I
mhm,
just started writing my interactions, which in my book I call spiritual mechanics.
mhm.
How does one pray? How does one meditate? How does one contact this power within, no matter what your name is? My name is the Invisible Architect. How do you communicate with it? How do you invite it into your life? And how do you use this power to serve others and eventually serve yourself? Because if you serve others, you are actually serving yourself and the architect and humanity.
Got it. And let's talk more about your inner voice. Like, when did you become aware of your inner voice and the invisible architect in specific?
Yeah, it was very strange. I mean, imagine being 3 years old and sitting in the living room, and we had just gotten our first TV. And like I said earlier, somebody was playing the accordion keyboard there, and I saw the keyboard. And that's the first time I can recall hearing the voice, just like you and I are talking.
Hmm.
A voice filled my head and it said, "Point to the TV." I was like 3 years old, and I just went like that. I don't even know if I said anything. And then my parents said, "Oh, look at Johnny's pointing to that keyboard player. Maybe he wants to play the keyboard." And that's the first time I heard that voice. And then from then on in, that voice was almost like my partner in life. I thought everybody had that voice. Now we all do have that voice, but that voice is a high frequency. God or the architect is a high frequency. That's why people meditate, because they want to get in their life and try to go into the silence to get to this higher frequency so they can hook up with this power. So somehow I was blessed. I'm not sure if that's because of other lifetimes or whatever, but I heard that voice from then on in. And it was like almost like a big brother to me. It gave me information. If I needed to make a decision, I would ask it and it would give me an answer. And it would tell me, don't do this if I was about to do something. And the biggest thing it did is when I started playing a few years later, playing the piano, I noticed that if I invited it to help me play, that I would play better. And it was almost as if like I was channeling. And as I played, the energy, the kingdom of God is within, the energy of the invisible architect channeled through me. And when I was playing, I was like watching my hands play and didn't even realize that I was playing. And that's how I knew I was channeling this kind of creative energy as compared to just playing on my own. Like I said earlier,
Yeah.
we are not the power, it's the power. And if you invite it into your life, it's absolutely amazing. And that's what I do with people that I work with now. I show them how to do that, and so how they can create a better life.
Yeah. So when you mentioned about frequency, it actually reminded me of this book, the Silva
Uh-huh.
Mind
Yeah.
Control Method, and it talks about alpha frequency, beta frequency, and gamma frequency, wherein you can connect with the subconscious and you can make your dreams come true. And I'm really surprised, like at the age of 3 itself, you are able to point about it, and it is not that easy thing. And rest of the things have followed. Wow, it's so interesting to know about it. And let's talk about the invisible architect further. A while ago, you mentioned it is not associated with any faith or religion or anything else. So, who or what is the invisible architect?
Well, my experience is, I'll tell you what it's not.
Hmm.
Too many, and I don't mean to stomp on anybody else's beliefs, but too many philosophies and organized religions try to paint the invisible architect or God or Yahweh or whatever as a being that sits in the sky and is all knowing and all loving and just sits there and does whatever. I don't get that. That's not what I got at all. To me, it's an intelligent quantum energy
Hmm.
that permeates the universe and is responsible for the creation and maintenance of the universe and is responsible for the creation of us. And it created this universe and permeates, and it's there, believe it or not, to serve us. But we don't know that. And we are somewhat, especially humanity in today's society with all the advanced technology, we become more and more separate from this power, from this source. And the further we get away from the power and get narcissistic and think that we're the power, humanity starts having trouble. And there was a book written a long time ago by James Bedford called The Celestine Prophecy. And he talks about how mankind has become weak because it has separated itself from this power. It doesn't understand that this power is there to serve us. And as long as we serve others, it can do that. And so it's not a being, it's not an anthropomorphic being that sits there with a beard that we have to meditate on. It's always here. It's an energy source. Even in physics, they talk about quantum energy.
Yep.
I just added one word to that. It's a quantum intelligent
Mm.
energy, because electricity is a quantum energy. And once you learn how to harness it, you can make electricity do a lot of things. But on its own, electricity doesn't really do anything. It's potential energy. But the invisible architect is an intelligent quantum energy, and it's responsible for the creation of the universe and us. So if it can create the universe and us, that means it can help us create any desire that we want. And I mean anything. Nothing's impossible. But we have to learn how to raise our frequency to communicate with it. We have to learn how to invite it into our lives because it does not bypass us. It gave us free will, which is an amazing thing. And so if we invite it into us, it will help us do anything as long as we know how to communicate it. So my whole book was sort of channeled where the invisible architect told me how to organize my thoughts and put them down in the book on how to communicate with it and have it help us rather than us going off on our own trying to design and create our own lives and struggle doing it.
I wish I could get access to that frequency as soon as possible. And now that I can.
Yeah, well, I do it all the time. I get people all over the world that I only take a few people every month to do this because I don't want to be a Tony Robbins with 1,000 coaches underneath me and make billions of dollars being a coach. I'm a jazz musician, and this is just a calling. So I like working with a few people that really want to raise their frequency, create a more perfect life, and serve others. And so that excites me to work with those kinds of people.
Wonderful. And John, you talk extensively about B plus do is equal to have sequence in your book, right? So can you explain that in a few sentences?
Yes, most humanity has it backwards.
Mhm.
They go have, do, be, which is if I had a lot of money, or if I had all these connections, or if I had this and I had that, then I'd be able to make decisions and do this, do, and then I'd be able to be somebody, be successful, be a jazz musician. In actual fact, that's the lie. That is a lie. All successful people, whether they know it or not, operate on B first. B is your conception of yourself having already achieved what you want. So let's make it simple. Let's say you simply want to create a better job for yourself. Well, you would then write down and define what that job description would be ideally. And then you would be it as if you already were it. And for some reason, when you do it that way, the invisible architect, this intelligent energy that permeates everything, sort of gets involved and helps you create it. But if you just kind of pray or meditate and go, oh, please, architect, can you please help me get a better job? It sits there and goes, okay, so you want a better job. It doesn't do anything other than acknowledge you. In his book, Conversations with God, Neil Donald Walsh talks about how God just answers you. But if you stated your job description, I am I am a successful Grammy Award-winning jazz musician who writes music and plays music and inspires people all over the world. That's my be. Notice I said I am. I am means you already are. Now, unfortunately, we look at the physical universe, and the physical universe tells us, no, you're not. And the moment it tells us we're not, if we agree with that, then we're working on have, do, be. So you have to be able to put that be out there and use your imagination to be excited about what would my life be like if I had already achieved being an award-winning jazz pianist, and how would I be? How would my friends be? So in other words, you imagine your goal, your desire already completed. How excited would you be? Keep that excitement there. That interacts with the invisible architect, and its power comes and you channel it through you, and it eventually manifests into reality. So you have to be able to control your thoughts. So my whole one-on-one mentoring is how to do that process. And once you do that process, there's nothing that is impossible to achieve. Nothing.
And John, one question which I'm really curious about. Did you ever think that you would win a Grammy Award?
Well, I never went after any award. It just happened as part of my success path in 1978. I was the musical director for a band called The Taste of Honey. And the architect helped me get involved with that group. And our first record was Grammy. We were the best new group. And that was really exciting. And then another one was with Mark Isham, the famous jazz trumpet player, and I forget, it was 92 or something like that. And those kinds of awards are validations for, your creations and your service to others. So I always tell people, don't go after any kind of award. Just find out what you are and go after that, and those will happen. So I have a famous meditation prayer, it's in my book, and it says, and I say it every day before I go to bed: perfect life within me, come forth into existence and express your perfection through me of that which I am, and lead me down all the paths of perfection, cause me only to see the good and obliterate any negativity. And by this process, my soul, the soul, shall be illumined, acquainted with the Creator, and shall be at peace. And that is a very powerful meditation and prayer, and I use it every day before I go to bed.
Very good. I thoroughly enjoyed that particular point. And when I was going through your profile, I came across this particular phrase, which I heard for the very first time in my entire life, which is about thought substitution. And you talked about it, which is an extremely useful exercise in your book, right? So, what is this?
Yeah, it's very scientific.
Yeah,
it's a very scientific thing. In the physical universe, no two objects can exist in the same space, right? So my hand is an object, and here's another hand. You can't put them together, right?
Yeah.
In the thought universe, there is a universe called the thought universe. You have all your thoughts, I have all my thoughts, and that's your universe. No two thoughts can simultaneously be active at the same time. They can in sequence. I can think of thought A and then thought B and thought C, but I can't think of thought A, B, and C together. So that's similar to the physical universe structure in physics. So one of the most important things in manifestation, which is why it's hard to do on your own, it's good to have a mentor to help you get going, is that you have to control your thoughts. Well, if you can't control your thoughts, you'll never be able to hook up perfectly with the invisible architect and have him distribute the power. So thought substitution is whenever you have an unwanted thought or a negative thought, a thought contrary to your desire, you immediately have to A, recognize it, which is sometimes difficult because it can creep up on you. Once you recognize this thought is really contrary to your desire, then you immediately, within a few seconds, replace that thought, that's thought substitution, with the opposite, more positive thought, or any positive thought, as long as it's not that thought. And it's very similar if you were walking down the street and you had a pebble in your shoe and it was hurting you, would you keep walking on it? No. You'd stop, take your shoe off, take the pebble out, and begin walking. Well, it's the same thing. Most people go through their lives with all these unwanted thoughts, and they don't do anything about it other than, well, I need a vacation, or I need to get drunk, or I need to buy some drugs, or I need to go out and see a movie. Well, those things are distractions, but they don't get rid of the thought. So you have to know how to immediately substitute a different, more positive thought. And that means you're now controlling your mental universe, which is the first step on how to create and manifest anything.
Got it, and I love the metaphor. And this conversation has been incredible so far, but it's time for us to add some more excitement and some more spice to the episode. So if you are ready, I'll kick off the second rapid fire round.
All right, you're challenging me.
Wonderful. Here comes my first bullet out of the second rapid fire round. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
I am.
Wow.
I am.
Wow. Super.
There isn't anything beyond I am.
I love it. And here comes this next one. John, one book that has profoundly influenced your life.
Well, I don't know that there's one, there's many, but the Celestine prophecy that I've heard and various parts of the Bible and Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh.
Mm-hmm.
I think those three books have helped change my life.
Sure. I'm going to publish the links to those two books so that our audience can also get benefit, including me. And John, can you describe yourself in just one word?
Grateful.
Grateful. Superb. And here comes the tough one. Describe the invisible architect in one word.
Energy.
Energy. Superb.
2 words. Intelligent energy.
Yeah.
Intelligent energy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what is the most unexpected source of inspiration that you have ever encountered?
Understanding that I'm separate from my body and I'm an internal being, and I had that experience where I left my body. They call that out-of-body experience, and I realized that I, John Novello, am not my body. I am, and there we're going back to the first answer I gave you. I am.
I can relate to that. And here comes the next one. What are the top 3 items on your bucket list?
Number 1, service to others. Number 2, personal integrity, following my dreams. And number 3, gratitude for being able to communicate and use the power.
Okay, got it. And here comes the last one for the rapid fire. What is your personal mantra or motto?
Accept responsibility for everything in your life.
Accept responsibility for everything in your life. Superb. And let's flip back to the mainstream after that powerful second rapid fire round, which is so intriguing. What is your advice to those aspiring to make big in their careers or lives? You can pick either of them or both of them. I'm fine.
Personal integrity is senior to anything. When you make decisions, and because the power gave us who we are, the power is to succeed. So make sure you are true to yourself always.
Amazing, and I thoroughly enjoyed all the insights and wisdom that you have shared with me and our audience today. And how is your experience being hosted on TGV, the Guiding Voice platform?
I love it. You ask great questions, and I love what you're doing because you're furthering truth that can help people. And so I'm honored to be on your show. And one of these days, I'm going to have to visit you.
Absolutely. So I'd love to meet you in person in Hyderabad or India. And John, thank you so much for joining us today. And it was really a pleasure talking to you.
It's a pleasure for me to be here.
So John, now that we have had amazing conversation, if any of our audience or TGV family members are willing to connect with you, what would you recommend?
I'd recommend they go to my mentor site, and everything is there. It's called go.johnnovelloauthor.com. go.johnnovelloauthor.com/register. Go.johnnovelloauthor.com/register. And they can book a time with me. They can ask me questions or make comments or everything. Okay.
Super. So, folks, I'm going to publish the link in the show notes. So, go ahead and book some time with John and try to live your perfect life based on what John is going to advise. And here, he's full of wisdom, and we were able to impart a part of it, but there's a lot John has to offer. So, go ahead and check the link which is available in the show notes. So, John, thank you so much once again for joining me, and really pleasure. I'm going to invite you again in the future. Namaste.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you. And wish you all the best as well. All right.
You too. Good luck.
Yep. So, friends, that was our episode with John Novello. And before we jump into the fun trivia section, we have a quick request. In case if you haven't already subscribed to TGV, the Guiding Voice podcast, please subscribe to our podcast from wherever you have tuned in, because subscribing keeps you updated on new episodes. And also, if you're following the show on Apple or Spotify, and if you haven't followed or reviewed and rated, request you to follow and provide your valuable rating and review, because it will help us reach more audience. And also, if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, request you to share with at least three of your friends or colleagues who would also like the guiding voice. So spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now let's cruise into the trivia segment. So, having had an amazing conversation with a Grammy Award winner, I thought I would present you three lesser known facts about jazz. So, the origin of the term jazz. The word jazz has a mysterious and debated origin. It first appeared in a 1912 Los Angeles Times article about baseball, used to describe a type of energetic pitch. By 1915, it was associated with the lively and exuberant music being played in New Orleans. And some theories suggest it may have originated from slang terms in the African American community, but its exact roots remain unclear. And second is about jazz and the civil rights movement. Jazz music has played a significant role in the civil rights movement in the United States, and musicians like John Coltrane, Charles Mingus, and Max Roach used their music to express the struggles and hopes of African Americans. And albums like Coltrane's Alabama and Mingus's Fables of Phoebus were direct responses to racial violence and segregation. And jazz clubs also served as integrated spaces where people of different races come together during a time of widespread segregation. And third fact is about the influence of jazz on classical music. Jazz has had a profound impact on classical music, particularly in the 20th century, and composers like George Gershwin, Igor Stravinsky, and Maurice Ravel were influenced by jazz rhythms, harmonies, and improvisational elements. Especially Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue and Concerto in F are prime examples of jazz influence blending the classical forms, and Stravinsky's Ebony Concerto, written for the jazz clarinetist Woody Herman, is another notable piece that showcases this fusion. So, likewise, if you are aware of any interesting facts related to jazz music, I would love to hear from you. If you are watching this episode on YouTube, you can comment there. Or if you found this episode on any of the social media platforms, you can comment there as well. And folks, that's it for today. Thank you so much for tuning in and also for being part of our awesome TGV family. Would love to hear from you. So do not hesitate to share your ideas, feedback, topic recommendations, and most importantly, guest speaker suggestions either through our social media, or you can also email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com, for as in digit 4 and you as in letter U, and let's create content that resonates with you. I'm your host Naveen, Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that improve not only your life but also your career. So until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the future holds great things because the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you in the next episode with another amazing guest. Take care.